Hello, everybody out there in social media land, on the internet who is watching. We have a very special video for you today. It's kind of a hybrid. It's a combination of both of our podcasts from both of our groups, because it's kind of a statement that is going to be a general one on behalf of both of them. If you aren't familiar, if you only kind of follow one or the other, I am Razor from the Mary Lou's and also the Destruct Principle. And who are you?
I guess that depends on who you talk to. I could be the vessel, How Daddy, Mr. Squiggles, or just someone in the corner sitting on a trash can that says, "This is quite lovely. What voice are we choosing today? What could be wrong with them? Oh no, I don't like this. Maybe I shouldn't. Could it be? I don't know. There's a light right to my left. You might know me as the social media page he's been using, Brand X, or Jack Napier, who some people even confuse and say, "Hey Jack." I say Cracker Jacks. That's so last year. What about Cracker Poles? Cracker Poles.
Yeah.
It doesn't even matter. What's a name? What's a name? No name Maddox. Maddox galore. Funny sides in a book when you burn the pages. But sometimes you make up your own pages. You type on a typewriter, Angela Lansbury. Or I could just be Oliver Ralevo, with all the different voices that live here, and all the times we go and drive and we lose the keys. Who knows? What is a voice? It's the box in your body that loses batteries when they're not recharged, and then you get angry because the rechargeable ones aren't ready yet. You might go to the Dollar Tree and you say, "Oh, these Dollar Tree batteries are cheaper. I wonder if they work the same." And in 5 minutes they die.
So sad.
It's sad. So really, I'm who you want me to be. And we've seen that, right?
Yeah.
Just paint the picture with a nail in a hook. You read it in a book. It's reading rainbow down the street under clouds with Wishbone. What's the story? What's the story, Razor? You're Razor from the Mary Lou's and from the Destruct Principle.
Well, the story is that this is an episode of Booze from the Devil's Den.
You see, in the Mary Lou's, we would go Booze from the Lou's. There was not really a vocal highlight for From the Devil's Den. It was From the Devil's Den. And you go, ooh, spooky.
Spooky.
So I guess it would be
Booze
from the Devil's Den. That's acceptable, right, Marsha? Marsha, sell your wares on the side of the street.
Marsha accepts.
Is it a quarter?
It's a dime. It's a straw penny.
A straw penny?
We don't use those anymore.
Is this real?
Yeah. I threw you off with that one.
There's our daddy coming in and he says, "What's the straw penny? I like straws and I like pennies. Pennies, they cost more to produce than they're worth." David Copperfield.
Yeah. So this is going to be a very interesting episode with just some chit chats. That light seems very distracting to you.
Have we talked about the song where I used to think it was I saw the sun. I opened up my eyes, I saw the sun. And then I realized it was Sign. And it was so much more depressing.
I remember that.
How many people do you think thought it was Sun?
Probably a lot.
I thought it was about, like, childbirth. I opened up my eyes, I saw the sun.
Okay. I never thought it was about childbirth, but I did hear sun. I could see how you could hear sun.
Some other... Yeah, I guess we'll get to a subject. I was going to say, what's some other lyrics you've thought you heard that were different?
I mean, anything by Pearl Jam.
There's some lyrics. I literally think he scribbles in a binder when he's in a manic state. And then he developed an AI vocal protocol far before anyone else did. And he listened back to it and he's like,
He's an innovator.
I guess.
That Eddie Vedder.
Eddie Monster.
But you use whatever voices you have in there and whatever characters pop out. Let them speak freely.
At this point, they just come out in the dailies.
They do.
And I don't even fight it because I'm like, what's the point?
There isn't one.
They've got the bag on me. Reusable bags you gotta buy. And you're like, I forgot it. And they say, well, that'll be anywhere from 50 cents to $3, I guess, depending where you go.
Yeah.
And then you put your pretzels in, you put your crackers in, you put your whatever in, and you shake it all about.
Then you leave them in your car and forget, have to buy more when you're in the store, and just start a collection. Because that's what I do.
You use them for kitty litter.
Mm-hmm.
You scoop the poop.
I use them for so many things. They're quite handy.
I wonder if anyone from the Mary Lou's fan base or the Destructprinciple fan base are like, why is it both? And then I say, why not? At this point, it's a hurricane in a window made of paint. Why paint? Not even the high-grade paint, like the lowest one that you have to put 5 coats on. It says it has primer included, but it really doesn't.
It doesn't.
It's so stupid.
It's not covering anything.
No, it doesn't. Any paint that says primer included doesn't.
Doesn't cover up the lies.
Everyone says, this isn't what I wanted it to be. I don't like this. Where's the spooky? Well, I got a lot of spooky in the head, you see, champ, and I'm going down to the bank to pull out some money to buy some more spooky, because it's that time of year where you're pulling out all the spooky things and you're spending money to decorate your living quarters with the spooky things, and then you leave it up year long and you say, this is my decor, this is my time of year. Spooky is here. It may be August, but it's also October every day, October 1st through the 31st. In every way, I'm gonna hang a skeleton every day. The bones are brittle, but my mind is strong. And then the bats go down and they come along for a little bit of Cookie Crisp, a little bit of Monster Mash, Count Chocula? Count Chocula.
Blueberry?
What's the new cereal we saw?
Carmela Creeper?
I don't like the new art style. It's like that weird CG-ish. Where's the classics?
Yeah, I wish they did her in the original style. I think it's cool that they incorporated a new femme character, but I wish it was how they looked old school.
I'm all about adding new spooky characters. I just don't like the art style. It's like when they changed the art style. I think they went back to it now, the original. But for a few years, they changed Volvy's art style into that, like, new whatever. And everyone was like, what the fuck are you doing? It's like they changed the Candyland box. It's like, this is fucking dumb.
Well, Barbie's pretty fascinating because, like, through the generations, she's had different, like, face sculpts and things. And they actually all have different names based off different, like, whatever, and you can actually, like, trace, like, this face sculpt was from this era and things like that. So the history of dolls and Barbie and the different sculpts is pretty cool.
I'm not going to pretend to be a scholar of Barbie history, but I do know one time that I think it's the Toys That Made Us episode
That was a good one.
on Netflix about Barbie. I didn't know about this before, but then when they restated that how Barbie was based on the one doll that was let's say a helper of people.
Yeah.
I think that's funny. But yeah, there you go.
Fascinating. Toys That Made Us. That's a good one. I like that show a lot.
No, that was a good... I'm sure that's probably still going. And there's also the movies that made
Yeah, the
us.
movies, too, was really good. I like watching about, like, the history of things like that, or even, like, the how it's made, where it's just, like, you just learn how the ordinary items are made in factories, and it's just, like, wow, the process is so fascinating.
That series of toys and movies that made us one of the few things I actually take time out to watch because it's interesting.
It's one of those things, too, where I put it on intentionally thinking it's just going to be background, but then I do get invested because it is interesting hearing about the history, especially how so much of that stuff was during my childhood and things that I enjoyed. So I'm like, oh, wow, it's cool to learn about where this comes from.
I think the only one I didn't end up sitting down and watching just with all my attention was the Halloween one, because I'm like, I know all this. It was still nice to hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're just all over the place. We don't know which one we are, so we're just full circling it. We're stapling our arm to the left of the right eyeball. Everyone says, I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't like this.
I mean, I don't have a stapler, but we could find one.
Yeah, we have one next door on Sideshow.
No, not going there.
The Money Staples.
Yes.
It's a good gig.
Yeah, I'd do it.
So, we're here to do a double-jointed backflip and try to get points for the landing.
Triple Axel.
Axel was, I think, the character in Twisted Metal on the wheels, right? Like
Yes.
he's like a guy in blue pants, no shirt,
I think so.
2 wheels. I think so. I know that I've seen the ads for the show are running now, and it seems to have gotten good reviews.
Nice.
That's about all. But I'm actually surprised, but happy that Twisted Metal, the show, has gotten, I guess, good reviews. Because you don't expect that necessarily. But then again, what do you expect? What do you expect?
I feel like people are so cynical with stuff, and it's just like, just let people have fun. Like, if you don't enjoy it, if you think it's not good, or if it's something based off something else, like a movie or a book, and you don't personally enjoy it, like, that's fine. But people who do enjoy it and makes them happy, just let them. Some things are just fun. Some things are just meant to be silly and fun, or even if it's trying to be serious. If people like it, what's the point of shitting on it? Like, let people have fun and do their thing.
Except I will shit on every day the second Silent Hill movie.
Yeah, no, that's
because
valid.
that was utter garbage.
Yeah.
The first one, while it had problems, the dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, visually,
It's very good.
of course, they changed up the story and threw the big old P head in when you're like, but that's for Silent Hill too. We all know that, and they changed the visuals a bit, but the pointy helmet was still okay, at least in that one. They didn't fucking steroid him up yet.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, visually, and then of course with Akira's music that then they did a little bit of cinematic beep beep in.
Mm-hmm.
Overall, aside from some shit dialogue and whatever her name is, Jodelle for
It was good.
I don't know. Otherwise, yeah, the movie got a pass from me. It did overall, at least visually, and felt like Silent Hill. The second one was like when you go to the store and you're looking for adult diapers and you only find the kid size, say, get them. I think maybe I'll squeeze into them. There's no way, you don't even get your one leg in. So what I do with these now? And so then maybe you give them to a neighbor.
Put two together.
And you're trying to make it like a nice thing. And the neighbor goes, why are you giving me children's diapers? I'm 72 years old.
The neighbor has no children.
Right. That's all.
Yeah.
Or not the new one, but in the, I guess you would call it a series, even though there's only two. A second Mortal Kombat movie, Annihilation, was also utter garbage.
Mm-hmm.
Not even like bad, enjoyable.
There was one movie I actually walked out of theaters watching.
I've never done that, at least. I paid, I'm gonna hate it as much as I can.
I tried.
What'd you walk out on?
It was The Hills Have Eyes 2.
Like the
remake.
The sequel of the remake?
Yeah. I liked the first one, and I was like, the second one will be good. And I was sitting in theaters with a friend of mine, and it was so unbearable that we just had to leave. I couldn't even tell you what it was because I just couldn't retain it. It was that bad, and I was like, I spent money on this, and I am leaving, and it's just. I think we even got a refund because we were like maybe less than an hour, and we were like, hey, this is awful. Can we have a refund? And they were like, yeah.
I did hear the remake was acceptable, but I think by that point I was burnt out on remakes. I think.
That's fair.
Let me zoom back in history. I know. The Omen remake was fucking garbage.
I don't think I saw the remake.
The Omen remake had at least had the cleverness to release it on June 6, 2006, which, when I go back in history, I remember, yes, I did see that in theaters for that. But when you have the original that's just so good, if you don't like the original, then fuck off. I mean, you're welcome to your own opinion. But anyways, the remake was just like, it had no substance.
Yeah. Like I said, I never saw the remake because I have a hard time jumping into remakes. Like, I didn't see when they did the new Nightmare on Elm Street because I love the original so much.
I had no desire to see that.
Yeah.
Or the Friday the 13th remake.
Yeah, I just can't get into it unless, like I love The Exorcist, so when they released like the extended version for the 25th anniversary or whatever in theaters, I was like, yes, I have to see this, and it was cool because it had all the deleted scenes and stuff. But that's not a remake, you know.
Well, you are aware that David Gordon Green is trying to. I don't know if it's still happening. Hopefully after Halloween Kills. They put a stop to that. He is attempting to do a remake of The Exorcist, which is just fucking go shit in the middle of the street instead.
I mean, that I would see because it is one of my favorite movies of all time.
But why would you taint it?
I know.
I didn't see I don't know if it was a movie remake or a series, but I own it. I've never watched it. Mm-hmm. the remake of Rosemary's Baby. I'm just like, part of me wants to have any faith in it.
Yeah.
And then part of me is like, you're gonna get angry.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the other thing is like...
That's even... Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're fine.
That's like... And I even heard the remake, or they called it like a different adaptation.
Like a reboot?
Well, no, they called it like a different adaptation because they took different things from the book. But the original Let the Right One In movie, which was amazing.
Yeah.
Watch it subtitled, not dubbed.
No dub.
But then they did the US Let Me In, which I heard was actually okay.
Yeah.
And that's great. But I'm just like, I don't want these dueling versions in my head. Even I heard the US remake, or again, they were like, well, we took different parts of the manga of Old Boy.
Yeah.
And Josh Brolin, I think, was in that one. And I'm just like, it's cool, it's not horrible, but I can't. Like,
I kind of go, what's the point? Like, why? Why even bother? Like, it's the original's so good. You can watch it subtitled. Like, why do we need another version of this?
I don't even know if they still make that excuse, but they used to make the excuses of like, well, now we have new technology and we can make it look better. And it's like, to be fair, what was it, 2002? The original Texas Chainsaw remake with Ollie Ermey. Yeah. I actually like that.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad. But again, like, it's like the only thing updated aside from changing some shit. It's like, okay, so now it's
better effects or
better
whatever,
production and stuff.
Unquote.
But when you still watch the original, it's the grittiness is what makes it.
Yeah, it still holds up. And
like, I don't. The remake was fine.
Yeah.
It was not one of the ones that was like, this is fucking terrible. I'm sure that 4 or 5 others after that were. But there's a charm about the original horror films and just the film look. Yeah, it's just, I don't know.
It's cool to see like those old films and be able to place what decade they're in by the cinematography. And also, I'm a sucker for practical effects. So I hate when they update these films and it's all like CG, because like the beauty to me was how clever and innovative they were with the practical effects. That's why it's scary for The Exorcist, because that was such an innovative movie for like special effects and practical effects, and like them building like 3 different beds and refrigerating the room, and Dick Smith building the fucking glass apparatus to mold to her face to spit the soup. Like, it was all so cool, and it was all practical effects, and it was amazing. And I know people are like, it's corny, it doesn't hold up, and I was like, that movie still holds up. When I saw it again in theaters, like, people still left.
Anyone that says The Exorcist, the original, does not still hold up is lying.
Yeah.
That film will just get you no matter what.
Yeah.
Like it, I don't know.
And I'm a sucker for the special features, as we've talked about personally. So when I got the limited edition, like, special disc with all the commentary, I watched all like 16, 20 hours of the, history and the behind the scenes and how they did everything, because it's fascinating. And especially like in that time when nobody was doing this stuff, how they even made like the sounds of her neck cracking when she spun her head around on the dummy they made, and it was a wallet cracking in the microphone, or the woman they got to do her like when she was possessed voice, and how she was like this heavy smoker and they wanted this androgynous voice, and she just had this like raspy, deep smoky voice, and it was so interesting. Or when the priest goes down the famous stairs and he's laying on the ground and like, he's getting read his rights, like how the director literally slapped him across the face to like get him to cry and be emotive. And it's just like so interesting to know these little tidbits and then watch it back and be like, I know how they did this and I know how they did that. And it was so amazing, like to get these kinds of effects back then using just actual physical items and not a computer editing them in. And that's the beauty of a lot of those films for me. So when they remake them and just cut all that out, it makes me mad, because it's kind of like a lost art nowadays?
I feel like we've discussed this on the booze episodes, but since this is a double stream team, we'll talk about it anyways, and we would have anyways. But I think I also said before, and if I didn't, it's brand new, that like the first Terminator film, before James Cameron had a world budget, that I think it's right when the press comes down and smashes the T-800, and then the eyes like blinking out, that it was literally just someone took a puff of a cigarette and blew smoke in front of to get that.
Yeah.
Or I mean, just the animatronics in general, like the miniatures and things. That's why, to this day, you know, Terminator 1 and 2, the T-800 and just the exoskeleton models in general. Now, they did use a little bit of CG in Terminator 2, but that was 92, so obviously not a huge amount.
Yeah.
Not too progressive at that time. But again, it was used more to enhance and not just completely replace. And that's why to this day, in Terminator 1, so fucking 1989 at this point, when Reese and Sarah are looking down the hallway and the T-800's walking towards them, and I, because for some reason like that stop motion animatronics like gets to me.
Yeah.
And then especially when it's the fucking, because I mean after that Terminator 3 and forward we started using at least some CG and then went all fucking CG.
Yeah.
And they're just not intimidating anymore because like there's something not there.
Yeah.
And like, but I can still see that scene in the first Terminator coming down the hallway at him, and I'm like, this creeps me out.
Yeah.
And I mean the same thing with fucking Alien and Aliens. Like, come on.
Yeah, no. Like, there's just this look and feel that can't be completely replicated, and it's like stop motion. That's another one that's kind of getting lost over time. Like, I love stop motion animation, and the time and dedication it takes to create that is so impressive. But like, CG is cool, but again, like, using it to enhance and do things like to improve what's being built on is cool, but when it's the entire thing, I don't care how real it looks, it's still something that takes me out of it. That's not, I can't get into the feel of it. Like, it doesn't feel authentic to me.
Like, good and bad example. Good example, Forrest Gump. No one even knew they used fucking CG in that. I mean, you knew he didn't actually not have legs.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you thought that, but so like, good CG. You know, the throwback news station broadcast that they, you know, had threw Gump into, and you're not even thinking like, oh, CG or whatever, you know, but like proper use, enhance things that actually are there.
Yeah.
Here's a very bad example, which is a shame because it was a movie that I like wanted to like more. But I Am Legend. Okay, yeah. With Will Smith. Yeah, I didn't think I would even like it at all, but I was like, I'll try it. Because, you know, I Am Legend, and I mean, The Omega Man was another movie prior to that, Last Man on Earth, Vincent Price. Anyways, it's a good story, so let's give it a shot. And the first half is not bad, and then when the creatures appear and the coloring and just in general lighting looks like they're not even there. Yeah. And by the very end of the film, it's like they just gave up, and you're like, this doesn't even look like in any way like they tried to make this work. But what's really bad about that is then if you do watch the special features, I don't even know if it's on the disc or Blu-ray, but I think it's on YouTube. If you watch the special features and you watch their effects test, where their first option was practical and a suit and prosthetics, and it looks so good. Yeah. And for some reason, they're like, no, let's have a team do CG fucking garbage And
money and time.
And there you go. I don't even know how a team doing CG of garbage-looking creatures. I guess.
Because they shoot guys in green screen suits with the motion things, and then just add it in the computer. And yeah, no, my big example, because I saw it in theaters, was Anaconda. That was awful. Like, even back then, I remember watching it and being like, what is even happening? Like, this is so jarring. It's so bad. That snake was so bad.
It's as bad as in Mortal Kombat Annihilation. Liu Kang does his animality, and it's like the fucking dragon looks like, I don't know, like
it's
Sega
so
Saturn graphics.
Yeah, no, it looks like a bad video game. And I'm like, that was that point in like the 90s where CG started to really get popular, and like everyone was just throwing CG in kind of like for the sake of it. And I'm just like, why? Why are you doing this? This is terrible. If this is where your budget is going, like, why are you not spending more to make it look better?
It's amazing to look at something like that, Mortal Kombat Annihilation, and it's fucking hard CG. And then again, to use the same example, zoom back a few years and look at Terminator 2, 1992. Look at the fucking T-1000 effects. Some practical, like the body pack blasts and things, they're all there. And then to utilize it to enhance, and it's like, yeah, this is how it should be done.
Yeah, like stuff that needs a lot of CGI that actually came out decent, like Lord of the Rings, like stuff like that. You know, I like Lord of the Rings. They're cool movies. I don't watch them all the time because they're like, you know, a whole entire week's worth of movies. But like, obviously, to create some of those scenes and some of those like armies and stuff, you have to. It's impossible. But they put the time in, and they did use like real people, and they did try to, you know, like use real scenes and do stuff like that. And so it's like, okay, I understand the use of heavy CGI, and I appreciate the time you took to refine it to make it look as good as possible, because you had to rely heavily on it. And if you're going to, then do that. Like, fine tune it, make it look as good as it can look. Don't just feel like, yeah, it's fine, it looks good enough.
Or to use an example that I kind of forgot about while I was sitting here, and I'm trying to get it back. Is it gonna come back? I don't know. Oh, there's a different thing I was going to say. You mentioned Anaconda. Mm-hmm. Just a funny story relating to that series, because apparently there's like 4 of them.
Oh, God.
Back when, for this first starring role, but I remember a few people and I went to a double feature at the theater, and it was Anaconda, Hunt for the Blood Orchid.
Oh, God.
And Doom with Dwayne Johnson. And funny enough, like, we enjoyed both of them, just as what they were.
I couldn't say I saw any of the other Anacondas. I think I was so scarred from the first.
I didn't even know there were others. That's why I was just like...
I really didn't either.
There was something else I was going to say, and I don't have any idea.
You know what I did appreciate, though, when people, like, don't remake, but they do, like, a reboot and almost, like, refresh the franchise, like... I'm a big Star Trek fan, so when the new movies came out, I really appreciated how they worked it to be an alternate timeline, because then it didn't fuck with the original story, and it was really, really good. And stuff like that, too. Obviously, it's a lot of CG, because it's, like, space, and there's things that you can't replicate. So it's like, okay, but I appreciate them taking the time to make it look good and make it, you know, as believable as possible. But like, those reboots are great. I loved all of them as a, again, original series Star Trek fan. The casting, the effects, everything, the story. They didn't mess up the originals to make these movies. They just refreshed them and rebooted them to give a new audience exposure, and I think that's really cool. Like, I enjoy when stuff like that happens.
So I remember what I was going to say. I was going to say films that didn't have a huge budget but were made and looked like they did, and utilized CG with practical. Not the remake that absolutely no one saw, but the first and second Hellboy.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that was good.
Hellboy was really good.
Yeah. Or if they use I don't know exactly how to put this. If they use kind of, if primarily the entire shot is like a CG shot, and then they kind of go hyper stylized. Why can't I remember? It's a really good Mirror Mask.
Okay.
That's good. Or again, primarily, traditional effects, then with CG utilizing to help. The Cell.
Yeah, I love The Cell.
Like that.
So underrated.
The visuals in that are bastards.
That's a beautiful movie, and I can't believe more people don't love that movie.
Yeah.
Like, stuff like that, and like Pan's Labyrinth, another beautiful movie, like visually. Oh God, I love that stuff. So good.
It's interesting. This is the path we went down for this.
Yeah, it's cool.
But since we're on it, other films that are striking visuals are House of Flying Daggers. More so than, because I mean there was sort of like that triplet film. They weren't connected, but it was Crouching Tiger, and House of Flying Daggers. But then one that not many people know is Curse of the Golden Flower. The sets in that, I'm like, who had this money? It's insane. It is insane. And that's even watching it. I remember that came out, I don't even know if Blu-ray was like a big thing yet, but I watched it in standard definition, and it still was just like, Jesus.
Yeah, it was like visually striking movies. Like again, like Pan's Labyrinth, or I love The Shape of Water, because I love when everything is thought about in detail, like the cinematography, the color palette, like everything is just like so pretty to look at. Or when a director has a style that you can immediately identify, like not that all their movies look the same, but that
makes me think of like Wes Anderson.
Yeah, I was just going to say Wes Anderson, because like you can watch a Wes Anderson film and just looking at it know it's a Wes Anderson film. Like Grand Budapest Hotel is one of my favorite movies, and like visually it's so amazing to look at.
Grand Budapest is really good.
It's so good, and just like the color palettes, the sets, like it all is like, this screams this director without being like, this is repetitive. Like Quentin Tarantino is another one who has a very distinct style. Like you can just tell it's that movie. And I like that because it's a signature. David Lynch, obviously, John Waters, like directors who have a distinct style visually that you're like, But again, it's not repetitive. It's just like, I can sense this throughout their films.
I'm trying to think.
And Guillermo del Toro. I love Guillermo del Toro.
I mean, when I mentioned about remakes that I didn't watch, but if you go back to the original Vengeance trilogy of Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance, Lady Vengeance, and Old Boy, like, there's scenes in all of them, like the entire hallway hammer fight scene in Old Boy. But I'm at least stylistically in visual, Lady Vengeance was crazy visually.
Oh, yes. That was the first one I saw out of them, funny enough. Was Lady Vengeance.
I mean, to me, Old Boy's the champion.
Yeah.
But they're all good.
Yeah.
Or if you go throwback to more low. Low income.
Low budget?
Low income and low budget, whatever. I mean, obviously the original Tetsuo, where they made what they had work with the black and white, and it just, and it still visually just hit you the way that it was filmed.
Yeah.
And then you can go the complete, other way, and then you've got things like Holy Mountain.
Holy Mountain.
or begotten.
Yeah, begotten. That's so good. Like, it's amazing what people can do through minimalism as well. Like, just this black and white movie, this soundtrack that's just like not even like a soundtrack. It's just like noises and things to make you
it's
feel.
Like they put a microphone in a field at night.
Yeah, and just like obviously like visually with the like the style of film, the graininess, the lack of dialogue, the use of like silence is so interesting in movies because so many people think you have to continue to fill it with sounds, but when you remove them, it's almost even more jarring where it's like, oh shit, like what's going to happen? This is uncomfortable.
I mean, was it? I mean, even though people be like, I don't know what people be like, who cares what they're like, but to bring up Roberta Zombie, I mean, even though he's like, oh, it was my first one, I don't know. I mean, the style and visual look of House of a Thousand Corpses, and then to switch to what Devil's Rejects look like, or the one that's my favorite that everyone shits on, Lords of Salem. I mean, even if you don't like the movie, there are like, I don't know, there's just visuals and scenes in that it makes you angry, didn't it?
Yeah.
What was I saying? Oh, so I forget if it's House of Devil's Rejects, but on your point about silence and the way things are used, is the scene where Otis has the officer down on his knees, and it's just that uncomfortable, like almost minute-long pan out that's just silence, and then finally ends with the gunshot, and it's like, even though you know it's coming, it just, I don't know.
It's just like long enough that it's almost too long.
No, definitely. It's
but
uncomfortable.
It's not.
It's like any longer, and it would be. And it would be,
yeah, but it's just long enough to make you uncomfortable, but not long enough to be like, okay, let's get to the point.
Or, again, film that it's a film that's worth seeing, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend it because it's hard to get through. But again, it utilizes visuals and sound to its for its purposes, is Irreversible, because there's a scene in a club called The Rectum, and not only are the shots very quick moving that you get in flashes and things like that, and then they go down like different halls that are like this dark red, but on top of that, with certain frequencies and sound at certain volumes, things can make you feel uneasy, or in some cases, not with most people, it's mostly kind of like legend, but maybe they did, who knows, certain frequencies at a certain amount of sound pressure, they say, can even make you possibly lose your tummy insides, which, I'm sure at a loud enough pressure it could, but there are some frequencies, especially when paired with visuals that are jarring or you can't necessarily focus on, can cause motion sickness and just like headaches and just general uneasiness.
Can have physical effects.
So when the film was at some of the film festivals, and everyone's in the theater listening on these loud sound systems, and they're getting this big theater screen of all these moving scenes, and this constant just prodding like certain sound frequencies. I think it was like half the theater left, and whether that's smart or not for them to do, it worked. So it's interesting.
Yeah. No, I like movies that aren't meant to necessarily make you feel like, oh, I'm watching this happy movie, but they're meant to make you feel other things like sad or uncomfortable or like just... Because I think that's more difficult because there's always like that standard story plot line of like, you have your conflict and your resolution and everything comes to a happy ending. But movies that have a different point of view that are meant to be like, no, we're going to make you uncomfortable. We're going to make you feel other things, like maybe even not want to watch this to that point. It's interesting because it's so difficult. And again, it's that attention to every aspect. It's attention to the lighting. It's attention to the sets, the cinematography, the sounds, the music. Like again, back to The Exorcist, like there was stuff that was in those compositions and like use of different combination of chords and notes and things that were like that dissonance that just makes you uncomfortable. It makes you uneasy. And we don't realize any of these things consciously. It's just how it all kind of comes together in the films.
Well, it's like the example that probably most people know is, again, using the original Halloween as an example, is John Carpenter showed a work print to some of the producers or executives that it didn't have music yet in it. They all just sat there and kind of like scoffed and were like, this is garbage. Like, fuck off with this. You're wasting our time. And I think what was it, 2 or 3 days? He wrote the score in, the bastard.
I know.
Took it back and showed him, and everyone was just like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Because he made it work together. And look now, how many years later, that theme is still everywhere.
It's iconic. Everyone knows it.
And you don't have to know music or how he's relating like the notes together and how they work or don't work together to cause certain feelings. You don't have to know that, but it works, because then, I mean, look, here we are talking about it, and you know the theme if you go and say, oh yeah, Halloween theme. But and the thing is yes, like you said, it is probably more so now. I will not necessarily jump to watch films that are uneasy to get through unless I'm in a certain okay spot, which isn't not much, but there was a good amount of time that I just really dove through, and you're not typically going to find films in the US like that. You have to search through the foreign films, and because movie production studios here won't throw a ton of money at things that won't make them a ton of money.
Yeah.
And while I do enjoy watching Willy Wonka or Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat for the 500th time to feel nice, it is also good to watch films that still give a punch, but then don't wipe you up after. Because I definitely don't get the same feeling watching Sallow as Willy Wonka.
Yeah.
But it's an important film, and it's not easy to get through.
No, and again, like, those aren't made for rewatch, value, like how often you can rewatch them. They're made to make a point, and, sometimes, like, stuff that's that heavy, like, obviously you're not going to sit there and watch it on repeat, because it is a heavier feeling than just like watching something for like mindless joy or just to put you in a good mood, and not taking away from the hard work that goes into those, because obviously it does take a lot of work, period, to make a film. But there is a different aspect about making that kind of movie with a point and that kind of feeling versus, the standard plot and the standard, like, this is a feel-good movie that you can, just kind of popcorn it and watch it over and over again.
I've always wondered, and would love to see on any of these films that are just generally heavy films, you have to wonder if, like, the settings and just everyone around that has the scene set, you're like, I wonder if they're telling jokes right beforehand, or if everyone's just like,
Yeah, no, I mean, I imagine most of the time the mood is usually matching, so I'm sure those were some rough sets to just even be on.
Like, I'd love to just be a fly on the wall during, like, the filming of Nymphomaniac.
Where it's just like this, people are just like, whew, the whole time. And I imagine you probably need a mental break from that as an actor, as someone on the movie.
Well, I mean, and then there's films that you don't even necessarily think would have issues like that, but then you have, it was just not too long ago that, what was it that came out about, of course I'm not going to remember her name now, but, Olive Oil, The Shining.
Oh, Shelley Duvall?
Yeah, how, he had her, like, film scenes, like, 50 plus times to the point that she was breaking down and then would tell people, like, don't comfort her, like, I wanted her. It's just like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah, no, she was like, she went through it.
Or, what was it, The Abyss, where a few of them actually almost died during the filming because their water packs, like, I don't know, and what was it also, Poltergeist had some weird shit going on, like, I don't think that they were made to do it, but, like, almost dying in the pool scene and shit.
Yeah, like again, circling back, Exorcist, where they had the refrigerated room just so you could see her breath, because they didn't put it in CG, like, she's in a nightgown in this freezing room, like, for real, like a young girl, she's super cold, or how they had the scene where she's
had some weird fucking history behind it too.
And there was like weird behind the scenes stuff that was happening. What I mean,
like some of the people from
like the deaths and stuff.
Look it up.
Yeah, no, I remember the scene where she's like convulsing on the bed and like violently thrashing, and they had like someone pulling her, and she was like whipping her head around and like, sprained her neck and stuff. Like this young girl like going through it.
And then she sued her for I whipped my hair back and forth.
And like how they had the box between her legs for that crucifix scene, and she didn't know what it was. They just were like, stick it in the box, and again.
Reminds me like the original Evil Dead, where she's like, when I first saw it in theaters, I had no idea what they would, and then I was like, what?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a movie that used practical effects insane with no budget. Fucking, what was it, egg whites in the eyes?
Yeah, no, again, like, you can make it work, and it still could look good and hold up. I mean, obviously, like the original Evil Dead, there's, stuff about it that's, not as polished as it could be, but that's also part of the charm of it, and part of the thing that makes it so cool.
And also, like, the most minimal budget Sam Raimi used.
Yeah.
The first one. And still has scenes that creep me out more than shit from today.
Yeah, no, it says something when a movie like that can still have an impact today.
Well, I mean, even though, some love it and some shit on it, Army of Darkness, they used everything from miniatures to, not CG, but like this, how they used to do for like the old fucking like 30s, 40s, like sci-fi, where it'd be like the screen behind them to do the like overimposed.
Yeah.
I mean,
no, that was great. Like the skeletons and how they moved. Like you can't truly recreate that.
Imagine that in CG now. Good God.
No, because it would be all like super like they'd be all like moving all slinkily, and they'd have that computer element to them, and it would be like,
Those slinkily skeletons.
Slinkily.
I want to use an example of a movie that I wanted to like better, and I don't think he directed, he produced it, but Drag Me to Hell. It was okay. I wanted to like it more. There was definitely questionable CG and scenes. I mean, shit, even Ash vs. Evil Dead, there was a lot of good practical. Yes, obviously. Yeah. You know what I really hate, and I think we went over this before in a different episode of Booze, is the fake blood.
Yes, I was just thinking of that.
It does, you just can't make that look good.
There's no excuse for using CG blood. Like
how fucking expensive are the fucking blast packs? Come on.
I get so angry. I remember, I don't know what movie it was, but like the opening scene, somebody got shot and it was just fake blood, obvious CG, and I was like, I am done. I don't even want to watch this movie. What? Why? You can make blood look good practically, why would you do it CG? You're just being lazy.
I even remember, and I mean, like, still regarded as, I guess, his best one. But even in fucking Devil's Rejects, there's a few scenes that it's, which I don't know why. It's like, why in most of the movie if it's practical? Who knows? Whatever. I'm sure there was a reason for it, but like, you can tell. There's no way that like it's believable. There's just I don't even know if there's a word, but like the fluidity of like when things, especially blood and any type of liquid like fly, like you're either gonna sit there and meticulously make sure it looks correct for hours on end, like scene by scene, and no one's gonna do that. Someone's gonna get tired of it. They're going to go eat a steak. They want to gonna go buy a coffee, and they'll miss a few parts of it. And then when you're sitting in the theater and you see like it go, and then like when it lands and doesn't even really look like it's on them, and you're like, why?
It always looks like it just sits on top of stuff, and it bothers me.
The depth is not there. It's like, it's just
no, fake blood is awful.
Unless it's made to look so fake that it's obviously on purpose.
Yeah.
But then but like the ones that try to be like, no.
Yeah, it's so pointless to me. And it, again, like you're saying, the fluidity, the viscosity, it doesn't flow like blood should flow. It doesn't look like it's absorbing. It doesn't look like it's dripping right. The coloring looks off. It never looks right. And it's something that you could so easily do practically. And it bothers me because it's just like, are you lazy? Are you trying to cut corners? Are you trying to save money? Was it an afterthought? And now you're like, oh, I should add blood here. Like, what is it? Why didn't you do this the right way the first time? I can't imagine that would be like such a huge expense to a film budget that you couldn't do it practically.
I feel like blood is one of the effects that is the most cost effective, like maybe not easy depending on what you're doing with it, but like it's not, it's not like a 360 rig.
Yeah. Like even squibs and setups like that, like they're not gonna break your bank if you're on a major motion picture. Like, just go for it. Just do the blood for real and make it look nice. Like, what's the worst that happens? Like, oh, this scene got messy, so we have to clean it up and reshoot it. Like, okay, fine, maybe it saves time.
All the time,
right? Like, just clean it up, just reshoot it, just be ready for a messy scene and use blood.
Right.
I get very heated about that.
So, camera people out there, and the voice saying, I say hello. I don't know, we went on a spiral of films and CG, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
Except from not watch it, I guess. But there's at least news to share.
Yeah, there is news.
So, let's see. Well, the TheDestructPrinciple just had the show in the room we're sitting in as the light blinds my face with the heavenly powders of cable.
And that room is the Shooting Gallery Arts Annex.
Shooting Gallery Arts Annex. We literally just finished up running a Music of Curiosity show with, please remind me the names, Razor, the bands.
Shola Aurora. Luxtress. And hosted by Pink Velvet Witch.
Pink Velvet Witch. It was a goddamn good show over at the Sideshow Theatre. Not in this room, the other venue, 10 feet away, but a different building. That show finished up around 2:30 in the morning, and here we sit at 7:50 a.m. You may ask yourself, why this time? I ask you, why not? There's no mirrors in here. If I can't tell when I'm supposed to lay down with a blanket and start just licking floors and Lysol lemonade sometimes. There are no laws here.
If you don't have nature to tell you when you go to sleep, you don't know.
Nature. So we just finished up one of those shows, and it was a good time. It went well.
Yeah.
And there's another one tonight that I have no idea of the name.
It's the burlesque at the beach.
Oh yeah, it's not Music of Curiosities. Burlesque at the beach, where they do naughty things on the beach. And then Zinfandel White Nights of Butterscotch Ripple, or something like that. And we're gonna...
Close enough.
We're gonna run the sound for that, and we're gonna dance the night away into the sunshine of the wintry sleighs. And so yeah, we just finished up the show with the Struck Principle here last week. You will probably see some video highlights of that, where people are moving to sounds as they should. Other than that, there are things I don't know right now, because I was gonna mention the World Oddities Expo, but we still can't get confirmation. And then you'll see updates from me, or something like that. Otherwise,
we got stuff brewing.
The Mary Lou's are going on a trip to fucking Vermont.
Weird.
Today's Saturday.
Yes.
So, less than a week. We'll be zooming after running a show next Thursday from here, County Line. And we'll be driving overnight Thursday for 6 or 7 hours. Zooming.
I'm dropping stuff.
It's the leg cramps.
But yeah, no, we'll be heading to Vermont for Blackbeard's Freak Show.
Is Vermont even real? We'll find out.
Indeed. And it's supposed to be a kinky circus event, which is interesting.
We'll see, I guess.
Yeah. There's sideshow and other performers and like workshops and fun things to do. And
what if it was just everyone has like muscle kinks and they're like, do you have a chiropractor? Do you have a chiropractor? Everyone's like, why is this on both of the band's channels? I don't like this. I don't like the way sometimes that books smell when they sit in the loft, and then you dust them off, you spray them down, and there you go, it's paper.
I like how old books smell.
Right, yeah. Sometimes you find like $1 in them.
Oh, yeah. I found like weird photographs in one I got for free.
Sometimes you find some weird old nudies.
Yeah, no, I got a free book from this like college free book bin, and I opened it, and it was like a chick's Polaroid nudes.
You're like, that's my goddamn third grade teacher.
I was like, whoa, what is this? And then like your brain starts going like, who is this? And why are they here? And did they mean to leave them in here? Probably not, but maybe they did. Maybe they wanted someone to find them.
Why did someone use a Polaroid of this woman to highlight a page talking about like macaroni and cheese?
It was a really interesting book too, because it's called How to Disappear and Never Be Found. And it was this whole book, and it's old, so it wouldn't work now.
No. If it's called How to Disappear and Never Be Found, and there's a Polaroid picture, were they naked?
Yeah.
So they were killed. I mean, obviously. There's a Polaroid of a naked female in a book called How to Disappear and Never Be Found. I am immediately thinking this person has died.
Well, maybe she used the book because the book was about how to, like, escape your life and start a new life and, like, get a new identity and everything, and it went into great detail. I mean, it wouldn't work now because, obviously, like, things have changed, but...
I I know, things are so much harder now.
It was fascinating.
Yeah, imagine that. She says, I'm gonna leave a photo to make you believe that I oh no, and went down the winding road, and cars hit me, buses backed over me, but really I just took a plane.
Maybe she left it as a remnant of her old life to whoever found it.
Old lives are just trash cans that need dumped.
That's why she put it in a book for free and gave it away.
That's why she threw it on the ground.
But yeah, no, that was interesting. I love old books and finding weird shit in them.
It's just not old shit and weird books.
No.
That's gross.
That is gross.
Well, people of Earth, there's so much we could say, but I think we ain't gonna say not much more at all, because we went on for a long time about CG movies, and that's just fine with me.
Yeah.
Butterbread, Mrs. Maple. Mrs. Maple. Are you gonna watch this and think those poor children?
That was a new one.
It wasn't anything. Andy Griffith stole TV funds, and it's not accepted. All of these past people who had so many hidden lockers, they kept them with keys that had 4 different suggestions. Suggestion boxes work that way. Are any of them true? No. You just suggest something, and then the left. This is my right, but that's left. And you just gotta watch it and you think, well, I can't have that now. I don't like it, but I guess it's okay. And I don't really know what any of this has to do with either band, and it doesn't matter, because the world is on fire and everyone has a beach ball with leeches in it. Leeches, you say? Mm-hmm. Well, what about the leeches? You say, well, I teach the children about the leeches, and we can't have you because the leeches are a little dirty.
Well, the leeches
dirty.
feed off people.
What about the people drinking suits that go down the purple? And you say, this doesn't make sense at all. I don't like these things anymore. I'm gonna burn my albums. This isn't what this is about. What if you took the rain spout and put a bunch of cookie litters? Cookie litters. That's different from cat litter. That's cookie litters.
Ooh.
Cookie litters you can eat. And then when they shit on it, you go, ooh, I've got a gooey topping. What if I don't like to eat that? You say, then you find Scatman John, and he goes beat up, ba, 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 ba. And you say, well, I guess I can do that. They say, don't you see the actions? It makes you question. They've got to be on something in the rooms. The hot air balloons. You jump into the wicker basket. You say, it's a good idea to put this big fucking fire up in this balloon. I'm sure it'll be safe. You gotta listen to this, and I know it's overloading, and I ain't gonna do nothing about it. Nothing about it. Balloons in the sky gonna catch on fire. My box is made of wicker too. Humans have bad ideas all the time. We think we're a lot smarter than we really are. We give ourselves pats on the backs when we don't step on the crack, and we wipe our ass till we're clean like we're something smarter than a machine. We say AI's gonna take our jobs, but really all the jobs are taken by slobs. And the bosses say, I'm gonna rip you off, cause I want my money. And they put themselves on a pedestal, and really they go home, and really go home, and they feel that they're stupid too. The wife don't like them, the husband don't like them, the boyfriend don't like them. They're really sad. The husband don't like them, the wife don't like them, the children don't like them, and they're really sad. So they drink drink and 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 drink, and then they get violent. But it's okay, cause it's legal, it's legal, it's legal. Hey, I'm gonna smoke a cigarette, I'm gonna have a beer, I'm gonna keep doing it until I disappear. Cause it's legal, it's legal, it's legal in the box. It's legal, it's legal, it's legal in the box. But this one thing and that one thing, and even though it does these other things that are beneficial, Bill.
It's bad.
Cookies, Belvita cookies are right over there. Cinnamon sugar. Cinnamon sugar.
Ooh.
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 And then when you go to sleep, you think of these things, and you say, I will one day. And you don't, and you don't, and you don't. And then you make excuses. The TV told me so. It's easier to say things than to act on them, and everyone else is the problem. And so, yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
It really pisses me off that Walmart's only open till 11 p.m. now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess before we go, Field Fig here says, if you ain't got something nice to say, vomit.
Nice.
Or if you don't have a gag reflex, I guess you won't.
There's still ways.
Well, I'm going to let you say the last word because I don't know what just happened.
That's okay.
But I am feeling rather Swedish fishy.
That's okay. You take a break.
So what is this? Who knows? Is it the Mary Lou's or is it the Destruct Principle? Have you lost the feeling in your limbs yet? Have you lost the desire yet? I don't know. Go fucking bowling.
Wise words. Go fucking bowling. So this has been Booze from the Devil's Den, and can't really explain what just happened, but it happened, so deal with it. Maybe there'll be more, maybe they won't. But for now, we are out. Check us out online, both groups, Linktree/The Mary Lou's, Linktree/TheDestructPrinciple, Linktree/Razor D. Rockefeller, Linktree/He's been using brand X. Be on the lookout for lots of new things in the future from everything and nothing and all of us. Goodbye.
Oh, you can tell that there's something wrong because the eyes are like caterpillars. Eyes are like caterpillars. Trains go through the trails, and then you hear the sound of the rowing boat. Yeah, the rowboat. And the eyes, I tell you, the eyes. It's all in the eyes. Just like black flying saucers, I tell you. Yes.
Razor!
Goodbye.